What's up guys, Heatfireash here, and today I want to talk about a new Hearthstone card that just got unveiled for the new Scholomance Academy set that is going to be coming out next month, and that is the card Glide for Demon Hunter. I think that the mechanics in this card, which is a hand disruption type mechanic that hasn't really been used in Hearthstone much at all, I think it's not great for the game, and I also think that this card is going to be nerfed very quickly because of it, and I basically just want to give my thoughts on the card in general. Let's get into it. So the card Glide, this is a Demon Hunter card. It is a spell. It costs 4 mana, and it says shuffle your hand into your deck, draw 4 cards. Outcast, your opponent does the same. So, first off, it is a 4 mana draw 4. If we compare this to some other cards, well, I guess it's not straight up a 4 mana draw 4 because you are shuffling back in your hand. So, if it's the only card in your hand, 4 mana draw 4, that's amazing, right? We have cards like Arcane Intellect, which is 3 mana draw 2. So, it's twice as much draw right off the bat. So mana cost pretty great for just the first effect. And then the second effect is going to be shuffling your opponent's hand in. And this is hand disruption, which is not a new concept to card games at all. I mean, we see stuff like this like Thought Siege in Magic. Also cards like Judge in Pokemon, which is almost a exact copy of this card actually. But the key difference is that those games are very different. In Magic, you have cards like Counterspell, which you can respond directly to any sort of discard effects and stop them before they affect your hand. In games like Pokemon TCG, you can draw so many cards per turn. It's not uncommon to draw, 10 cards in a turn, for instance. But they're very different games, so discard effects in those games don't cause a huge issue. In Hearthstone, though, card draw is kind of a premium, and also it's kind of based around the fact that you can interact with your opponent on their turn unless you have something like a secret. But basically anything else, there's not really much going on during your opponent's turn that you're doing. It's basically your turn is your own, and this card kind of goes against that, which I think is problematic. I also think the big problem is going to be for aggro decks with this card. We see that it lets you draw 4, which is going to be a huge refill for your hand in an aggro deck. Now, this card really reminds me of the old card Divine Favor for Paladin. This was a standard Paladin card that was rotated out in the wild pretty recently because they felt like it was too strong of card draw and was really just warping the game for Paladin. And it was so strong, it would just let you draw as many cards as your opponent had. So you would be playing against maybe a control deck with Paladin. You just throw down as many minions, dealing as much damage as possible, and then when you would run out of gas, run out of cards to play, you'd play Divine Favor, refill your entire hand, and just go off again. This card is very similar to that, as in the Demon Hunter already has a lot of low cost things. You can just play it, attack your opponent as fast as possible, play this Glide, which probably is going to be the only card in your hand, draw 4, completely refill your hand, and now also your opponent is going to go down to 4 cards. If you're playing any kind of slower deck, they're going to be holding their AoE. They're going to be waiting for the perfect time for these cards that they have in their hand. And you're going to be shuffling them all away and putting them down to 4 cards. And they're going to have way more than 4 cards at that time. So not only are you getting insane refill, but you're also messing with your opponent's hand. And that is why I really feel like this card is going to be nerfed. Now, this card just as a straight disruption card, which is why a lot of people on Reddit and everything are talking about they like it because it's disruption. It's a new sort of mechanic for Hearthstone. We haven't seen too much in the past, but the problem is it's way too cheap for what it does. This card needs to cost quite a bit more, I think, if we want this to be a disruption, because right now it's just going to be played in aggro. That's basically it. It's not going to be a card that control players play to try to disrupt combo. It's going to be an aggro card. And, Demon Hunter already has a ton of card draw, and letting them get access to this, I think, is going to be a huge problem. And I do suspect the card will be nerfed. Very quickly. I really think so. But that's just my opinion, guys. I'm really curious to know what you guys think of this new card Glide for the Scholomance Academy set that's coming out for Hearthstone. Personally, there's so many cool cards coming out in the set. I really think so far, from what I've seen, it's going to be a really fun time playing with new decks and new cards. But just let me know what you think of this card in particular, because I think it is going to be nerfed. Anyway, thanks so much for watching this video, and I'll catch you all in the next one.